Okay, so we have deployed our infrastructure. We've also ensured that our app service is up and running. The next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and modify our workflow to build and deploy our code to the app service that we've created. So to make this again easy to follow, what I have done is if you head over to the Apps 365 repository, I've put the link in the description below, and I've created a deployment template example file. And if we click on the build and deploy Node.js to Node.js Express App example, we can go ahead and copy these two steps here, or these two jobs here rather. Just grab those. And I'll go ahead and head back over to Visual Studio Code, and we'll just paste that in there. And then what we want to say is that this should be dependent on the infrastructure job. So we want to say this is dependent on the infrastructure job finishing first, and then what we're doing here again, we're saying that the runner wants to be running on a Linux Ubuntu OS, and we're then going to go ahead and carry out a couple of steps. So this will grab our code. This will then set the Node.js version within the runner, and we want this to be 18 because we set the app service, if you remember, in our Bicep template file for the app service Linux version to be set to 18 as well. So it will make sense to use the same version as well. Then we have a couple of steps we kind of take here to build the application. So what we're doing is we're going to be we first and foremost change the directories. Now this might not apply to you because you may not have your application in a folder called My Express App, so you should change this if this is not the case for you. But obviously we have our files within this folder, and so we're changing the directory first. Then we're going ahead and installing all of the packages required, and then doing an npm run build and tests. The next thing we're doing is we are uploading the artifacts for this deploy job to be able to obtain the files and deploy into our app service. So just to go ahead and quickly run through the steps here. So again, we've added a dependency whereby we're saying it needs the build job to complete first before it can carry out and do this. We want the output of the deploy to web app step, and we want to obtain the web app URL, and this will allow us to click into the web app from the completed workflow run. And then in this step here, we basically saying that we want to download the artifact which we had named here as Node app, and then we're saying set up the Azure CLI once again using the credential object that we created earlier on, and then we want to deploy to the web app, and we're obtaining the name of this web app from our variable, so we should go ahead and create that. So let's head over back to our repository, and we'll go ahead and click in my NodeJS Express App, click in settings, secrets and variables actions, go into variables, create a new repository variable. Now you could hard code this, but we're going to put it into a variable for this example, and then go ahead and paste the value of our NodeJS Express App. And then we head back over to the workflow, and we can see that the last step is to then grab the package which we know had been uploaded via this step here, and then that should then complete the workflow run. So if we go ahead and save that, and we then amended workflow to build deploy code to app service, and we go ahead and commit, save the change, synchronize the changes. We'll head back to GitHub, so we'll go into our repository, my NodeJS Express application, click in Actions, and you can see us committing the amended workflow has again triggered, and this will trigger each time if we are kind of committing to the branch in question. This is the kind of trigger here. So we click into this workflow, we can see now there's 3 steps, or there's 3 jobs to kind of undertake before it completes. So the first one is infrastructure, and because we have because Bicep and ARM templates are kind of interoperable, what will happen is if there's no changes, then there's nothing to do, but it will still run through this job because we've obviously defined that in our workflow. The next thing it's doing is it's going to go ahead and build our application based on the kind of commands that we've put into the build section of the workflow. And as you can see, it successfully set up the Node.js version. It's managed to change directory into the correct folder within our folder structure, and it's carried out the npm install, npm run, and npm build commands, and it's also then now moved on to uploading the artifact for the deployment job to be able to kind of deploy into our app service. Okay, so the build job was also completed successfully, which is good. So if we head back into our action, we can see now the last remaining job is to deploy our code into our app service. So it's downloading the artifact from the build job, which we defined earlier on. Okay, so it looks like the deployment has successfully completed. So if you go into actions, we can see we've got a green tick, which indicates all of the jobs successfully completed. And as we had within our workflow defined one of the steps to output to provide us with the URL of the web app, we can go ahead and click on to this link. And as you can see, in Azure, NodeJS Express App, which is the name of our app service, and we can see our application running within the app service successfully.